Yesterday afternoon, the Manchester United forwards battered Manchester City with quick, fast, exciting football. But for me, it was the defence that impressed me just as much as anything. City were reduced to just 0.47 xg. Haaland was hooked after only completing one pass in the final third, generating just 0.13 xg along the process, both shots which were blocked by United defenders. United secured just their third clean sheet of the season, and did so pretty comfortably. Now, before we get into the tactics, we need to act a little bit like a passion merchant and talk about the work rate of the Manchester United players. Because you can have all of the amazing tactics in the world, but if your players are not willing to put the work in, then you're not going to succeed. But I think players like Amad, Dorgu, Kobbie Mainoo, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes in particular, the defensive work rate, the yards that they covered was absolutely ridiculous. The whole team, did a very good job. All of them worked individually and collectively very well. But the big thing is, as an individual, if you put your work rate in, if you want to defend, if you're willing to sprint for your team, then tactically, if you get things balanced, if you get things right, you've got a very decent chance of being hard to beat. And that's something that United have lacked over the past however long now. Individuals really going for it, but also tactical balance. So let's start off with the high press. Now, we did mention this a little bit in yesterday's match coverage. Manchester United looking to press quite high from the start of the game, looking to put these City players under pressure, and the City defence was very shaky. They were very nervous, and United deserve a lot of credit for creating that environment, creating that atmosphere. Now, in terms of the shape that United looked to use, it was a 4-4-2 that turned into a 4-4-2 diamond. Today, we're going to discuss a little bit more how that worked and why it worked. So it starts off like this. It's a 4-4-2. But what we see is United pressing high with Mbeumo left of centre. It's an asymmetrical front two. So Mbeumo shifts slightly to the left and Bruno comes slightly more narrow. Now, the reason why we're doing this is because we want to control where City are going. With Mbeumo in this position here, Donnarumma will now not play to the centre-back. He won't do it. He won't play to Rodri because Bruno Fernandes is in the middle, but he does think he can just squeeze it to his left centre-back. He thinks that passes on. So this is United not having the ball, but controlling where the ball is going. We are telling City to pass there, and City obliged and did that. They passed where we want them to. The movements from here, from the United forwards and midfielders, are very important. Because Mbeumo, Bruno and Kobbie Mainoo have now got a real shift on their hand, and they've got to put in a lot of work. Mbeumo now needs to make the effort to get himself across the pitch into this position here. Now, the reason why he wants to do this is to slice the pitch in half. Rather than playing across the whole pitch, we're now trying to defend just one side, because the centre-back can't go across to his centre-back partner, and he now can't go back to his goalkeeper, because Mbeumo has put the yards in to get into this position. He then needs some pressure on himself, so Bruno Fernandes is the man that is going to apply that, but we're now worried about Rodri being free. But he wasn't, because Kobbie Mainoo was now willing to jump as Patrick Dorgu would tuck in, and now we see a bit more of that diamond shape that we were talking about. The work rate from the forwards is excellent, but the instructions that they are given is fantastic. And what we do is we force Manchester City to play the ball wide, and then we lock on, we tackle hard, we run hard, lots of big tackles in this game, but we force City into a position where they've got no one to play through. They can't move the ball any wider because, you know, there's the edge of the pitch there, and they can't go inside because United have picked up all the players. So what City have to do is go long, but Manchester United, the whole game, had two centre-backs against one forward. We didn't need to go man-to-man on every part of the pitch because we cut the pitch in half, meaning we could be 2 versus 1 at the back, and Haaland got dominated. Now, don't worry, I have got some clips to try and help you guys understand this and try and get my point across a little bit better, because it's much easier when you can actually visualise it. So this is United in the 4-4-2 initially, but look at the positioning of the front two. Mbeumo and Bruno Fernandes. Bruno is very central in the edge of the D, and Mbeumo is slightly to the left. And the reason why we are doing this is so that Mbeumo can do that. He can curve that run towards the centre-back, forcing Donnarumma in the City goal to play towards the left-hand side. And that is what happens. Bruno Fernandes ties up Rodri, and Mbeumo curves his run. So Donnarumma passes to the left. Now is the time for work rate, and the boys put in a shift. Mbeumo now covers Donnarumma. That ball could not go back there. Bruno Fernandes is now curving his run towards the ball to apply pressure, and Kobbie Mainoo is backing things up in midfield. You can now see that United are pretty much in a diamond, with Kobbie in that more advanced position. But the important thing that we've done is force City into an area where we want to trap them. Now we are in a man-to-man press, and City can't get out from the back and they lose the ball. We've got a similar situation here. Now, unfortunately, on this occasion, the cameras didn't cut to it until sort of the first part had happened, but we can see United now in the diamond shape, and we can see what we are trying to do. The positioning of Mbeumo is very important. He is screening the pass into Rodri. By screening, I mean blocking. The player on the ball cannot pass to Rodri because Mbeumo is standing there, and there's also Kobbie Mainoo behind Rodri as well, but also he can't go back to his goalkeeper because Bruno Fernandes is ready to apply pressure. So what can he do? Nothing really. He has to carry the ball wide. When he carries the ball wide, all the short players, all the short options are marked. United are again now man-to-man. If we look over here, just quickly, we can see Dorgu, the left winger, really narrow, really tucking in to make sure that United are man-to-man in all of these positions. He's forced to play the ball long, but United have two centre-backs up against Haaland, and it's quite easy work. Now, I am just quickly going to take a moment to thank you guys for the support on yesterday's video, because it's been absolutely insane. We've hit 90,000 subscribers, which is mind-blowing to me. I am going to be a little bit greedy and ask, if you haven't subscribed, if you please could, it would be great. Can we hit 91k this month? Maybe even 92? I'm going to need your help to do it. So please press subscribe. Now, as we pointed out yesterday, there are situations where City can get out from the back because they are just insanely good on the ball. You've got Rodri, you've got Bernardo Silva, you've got Phil Foden. The technicians are phenomenal. They can get on the ball, and they are going to have those moments where they've got possession. And Bruno Fernandes in these moments seemed in charge of dictating whether we were pressing or not. You can see him here with two hands in the air telling United we are now going to be compact. This was something that Carl Anker picked up on Twitter. Make sure to go check him out. Great guy. Anyway, United now decide not to press. Now we decide that we are not going to be sprinting after the ball. Instead, initially, we are going to go into a compact 4-4-2 block. And we spoke about that yesterday, how narrow it could be. Lots of players, really tight, really compact, trying to stop the play through the middle. But how do you actually stop it? Yes, the bodies there are great, but ultimately, you need to stop this fella here, Rodri, because he is one of the best dictating midfielders anywhere on the planet, probably at any point in history. He is fantastic on the ball at controlling the speed of a game. So you have to find a way of stopping him, and United did. We, first of all, reduced his options on the ball. If he could get the ball, he didn't have the forward pass anywhere. But also, Bruno Fernandes did this amazing screening, marking job on him, where anytime one of the wide centre-backs would have the ball here, Bruno Fernandes would go and stand between the player on the ball and Rodri. So he's screening, he's shadow pressing, he's applying pressure to this player, but keeping Rodri behind him. And you do that by constantly checking your shoulder. It requires a lot of concentration, a lot of discipline, but Bruno did it fantastically. And it meant that Rodri couldn't get the ball. So what do we do again? We force City to play wide, because they can't go into Rodri, because Bruno or Mbeumo are screening him in that position, and they can't go into Bernardo Silva and Foden because Kobbie Mainoo were essentially man-marking them and just crunching into the tackle any time that they got the ball. So again, we forced City wide. Now for me, this is where the more fun part comes in from the Manchester United approach, the more positive part, and it's the intentions of the team. It's one thing being compact in a 4-4-2, a lot of teams can do that, but you can do that and be really passive. You can have lots of players behind the ball and actually just let City knock it along the back all day. You know, they may not be able to progress through the middle, but City could have all the ball knocking it back here, and United could be compact, lots of players behind the ball, but it's difficult, right? It's boring for the crowd, and United didn't want that. We wanted Old Trafford on side, and for the players, it's really demoralising when City just have the ball all the time. So importantly, from this block, yes, we were doing a screening job into the middle, but we were trying to be aggressive. At every opportunity possible, we were trying to spring out onto the front foot. If there was a loose pass, a loose touch, or a certain pass, United would then sort of fire. We would release the players forward, try and get pressure on the ball, and attack from there. And it was in particular the two wide players, Amad and Dorgu, again tasked with an important defensive job. City can't go into Rodri. They can't do it now because we've blocked him off in the middle. Good job, United. They can't go into Foden and Bernardo Silva because we're man-marking them. Good job, United. So all they can do really is go wide to their fullbacks. This is when Dorgu would then spring forward. He would spring forward, and this was the cue for United to go aggressive. So we force City wide, and then we lock them on. We go aggressive. The same this side. The pass comes out to Nathan Ake. Amad is going to come forward, apply pressure, and again try and force the overturn. So let's take a look at how all of this adds up. You can see United initially in a compact 4-4-2, lots of players really close to each other, and importantly, Mbeumo and Bruno Fernandes close together, applying pressure to Rodri. So Rodri doesn't have the time to dictate the game. In this situation, he's actually dropped into the back four just to try and get a touch. But what I want to look at is the body language of the United players. These are not players that are ready to drop off. These are not players that are ready to retreat into a defensive position. They are all on the front foot. They are all just waiting for that opportunity to get after the ball. And this is what United should be. When you play good teams, you can have spells where you don't have the ball. That's absolutely fine. It happens. City have so much quality. But the intent for United always has to be to try and attack the opposition. And that includes in the way that you defend. And we can see that here. The players ready on the front foot. And the second that that ball goes across the pitch, and it's a little bit of a short pass because Rodri was under pressure at the time, Dorgu is ready to jump. He springs forward. United aren't defending low in a low block. At every opportunity, we're trying to get pressure on the ball. We're trying to force the player backwards. And it nearly makes just this amazing opportunity for United. Another situation here, compact in a 4-4-2 shape, and you can see once again Bruno is not too far away from Rodri, and Rodri again on this occasion has dropped all the way into defence just to try and get a touch in some space because United are defending so well. And again, body language of the players, ready to be on the front foot. These are not players dropping into a back 6, a back 7 immediately. We're trying to get pressure on the ball where we can. All of these players are positioning themselves so they're ready to go forward. And the cue is this pass here. Rodri can't go through the middle, so he plays the ball wide. And you will have already seen Ahmad sneaking forward, ready to jump after Nathan Ake, who was forced to play the ball backwards, and now United lock on more aggressively. Now, there were situations where this didn't work, but the important thing is the intent. We were on the front foot. Now, despite all of this fantastic work from Manchester United, there were still situations where City could move the ball forward, and that's a testament just to how much quality they have. They're a fantastic side coached by a brilliant manager who didn't get it right necessarily on this occasion. But regardless, because City have so much quality, there are spells where they move the ball forward, there might be a lucky break in a game, and United are going to have to drop a little bit deeper, and we're going to have to defend in a bit more of a low block now. So we are not as high up the pitch, it's a bit more difficult to get pressure on the ball because you're worried about the space behind you, but United still defensively were very good. And again, we're talking about Dorgu and Ahmad, two wingers who have actually spent the season playing at wingback. So defensively, they're switched on. They're players that will do their defensive job. They will get behind the ball. They will cover their fullback, which actually really worked for us in this game. It was almost perfect. Both of them playing very narrow, particularly the guy that was supposedly on the far side. So for example, Rodri might, or Rico Lewis, let's say, might have the ball over in this position here, and United are naturally going to get bodies to that side of the pitch. What's important though is that Ahmad is covering in from the right hand side. He's not still high and wide as a winger. He's really tucked in. He almost becomes an extra central midfielder, so that when the ball is worked across and Bernardo Silva picks the ball up, Ahmad is immediately there. There is no space for Bernardo Silva to attack. Normally, what we would expect is Ahmad to be a little bit wider, playing like a winger, and Bernardo Silva would have more room. But Ahmad was so compact, so well coached, so well drilled, but also worked incredibly hard to make sure that he got himself behind the ball. Behind the ball, narrow, compact, and again, Bernardo Silva has to go wide. It's the theme of the game. And it works the other way as well, and I think Dorgu did a brilliant job, especially on Phil Foden, who's a quality player. But again, Foden had no space because Dorgu was relentless in covering the far side. It looks a little bit like this. This is just a perfect example. This is our fullback and our right winger, and look how narrow they are. They're only slightly wider than the penalty spot. This is how narrow and compact United were together. But the important thing is this space on the far side. This is what we're talking about. Look at the space that Ahmad is defending here. This is the space normally of like a right-sided defensive midfielder. This is how narrow United were defensively. Ahmad is covering this part of the pitch, which is fantastic from him. It's brilliant to see a young player willing to do that work. And again, for City, there is only one option, to move the ball wide, and it can flip on the other side as well. That's the space that Dorgu needs to defend. Now, on this occasion, I think United had just attacked, so we're actually a little bit out of position, but this is where the work rate is important. The desire to defend. The love of defending, honestly, from Patrick Dorgu here. He puts in such a shift to make sure that he gets back ball side and disrupts Phil Foden before he can do anything on the ball. And then the final thing that we need to talk about, we finally work ourselves into the Manchester United box. Because again, City are so good that there are moments that you have to defend deep. And defend deep, Manchester United did with a lot of quality. And again, we have to look at Ahmad and Dorgu. The defensive job that they did was fantastic. Absolutely incredible. The positional sense, the discipline to play the position for 90 minutes switched on, and the work rate. You know, considering these two played 90 minutes and were offering so much on the ball, which we'll cover another day. Defensively, they were fantastic and willing to help out their fullback against a winger. Ahmad in particular in moments would actually drop into a back five, and the reason why we would do this is because, you know, while City were over here, they'd move the ball across and it was sort of Nathan Ake picking up the ball in those zones, and United sort of trusted that Ake wasn't going to do too much. The ball would move to Doku, and then we've got Ahmad ready to engage, and if he beats Ahmad, we've then got Dalot sweeping up behind, which is good to see. It's these 2v1s against these dangerous City wingers. Same on the other side. The ball goes out to Semenyo. Luke Shaw might go out and engage, but Dorgu is going to put in that work rate to make sure that he covers it in behind. And whilst all of this is going on, because the wide players are doing such a great job of covering, because Kobbie Mainoo and Casemiro are relentlessly picking up the Manchester City midfielders, the two United centre-backs have only got one man to deal with for 90 minutes, and that was Erling Haaland. And the way that they did this was quite straightforward. One of them would pick up Haaland, because Haaland is a player that loves to go to the back post. He's insane at it. So he would go towards the back post, so one centre-back picks him up, and the other centre-back just defends that front post region so no low crosses can come into the box. And this is why there was absolutely no danger in the United penalty area at any point, really. So for the final time, let's take a look at how this worked. Rodri picks up the ball in the middle of the park. United are now forced to defend much deeper. Rodri gets his head up. Look at Ahmad. He has immediately recognised the cue that Rodri could potentially switch this ball out to the far side. So Ahmad gets himself into a back five. It's arguably a back six with Dorgu on the other side. Sometimes you do have to defend like this. In future weeks, United will look to play a little bit higher, of course. There will be games where we have more of the ball and defend in a very different way. But for this game, this is what was required. Ake picks the ball up, he drives forward, he carries forward into the space, but he knocks the ball wide because Ake isn't a creative threat. He knocked the ball wide, and here we have the United double up. Ahmad is in a situation 1 versus 1. Ruben Amorim maybe deserves some credit here because he's made Ahmad this player who is willing to do so much defensive work. It's absolutely fantastic. But if Ahmad is beaten 1 versus 1, we've still got Dalot there ready to sweep up and cover. So for Doku, it's almost impossible to beat both players. Same on the far side, outnumbering Semenyo. Semenyo cannot beat these players here. And even if he does, we've got the middle of the box completely locked off. Harry Maguire is dealing with Haaland at the back post, and Lisandro Martinez is blocking that front post region. No ball can come fired across, like what we saw for the United goal. Lisandro Martinez is defending his spot excellently. Again here, wide on the left-hand side. Luke Shaw is going to go out and engage the ball. Patrick Dorgu is going to cover behind him. Semenyo's now got to be at least 2 players to get into any sort of dangerous position. But he's actually quite good at football, and sometimes he can beat 2 players. But United in the box. Harry Maguire dealing with Haaland at the far post, and Lisandro Martinez at the front post, ready to sweep up any ball that comes in. It's textbook defending. So yeah, it's been a bit of a long video, but it required one because Manchester United defensively were fantastic in literally every single phase of play. You can argue it was basic, sure, but that's all it required. That's all you need. When you've got so many good footballers who individually were fantastic to a man with their intensity, their work rate, their desire to defend, their desire to cover each other and look after their teammates was fantastic. And then they won all of their battles. You know, the ground duels were strong. United was strong in the air. That's great to see. And, you know, when you've got a balanced team and you've got players of that level, sometimes that's all you need to defend. I thought United were good and strong in the high press. In the mid-block, we were dangerous, getting pressure on the ball, which is very, very important. As we dropped lower, the wing-backs did that amazing job in midfield, and then eventually even dropped in to help the full-backs. I just said wing-backs, not wingers. It's been a long 14 months. But yeah, United were just fantastic defensively in this game, and with a back four, with some slow central midfielders, United completely outclassed Manchester City. Defensively, you know, United were too good. City did not have an answer on the ball, and United deserves so much credit for this performance. It was, like I said, textbook. There was no way through this Manchester United block, and I'm very pleased. This wasn't defending for our lives. This was defending because we wanted to defend and knew that we had the ability and the quality to do so. And that's a big difference for me in terms of the mindset and the intentions. So fair play Michael Carrick, fair play Steve Holland, all the other coaches, and also these United players. They were just brilliant defensively. And yeah, it was great to see. I got a big smile on my face because I love watching United doing well. But for today, that is the last for this video. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this one. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.